Last week on the Al Nicoletti Show. Without further ado, Ernie Vargas, the probate fox.
The more that I approached my business with that type of a mindset of being humble and sort of being green and not knowing too much, the more that I was able to succeed. I think that we can use anything that has happened in our past to benefit us in whatever we're doing today. If you're not mindful of all the success that you're accomplishing throughout this journey to get there, through those milestones, you might end up throwing the towel in a bit too early.
That goes to growth, right? So how are you able to analyze growth without analyzing where you came from before and what you were doing before?
Reflect on those successes that you're having, acknowledge them, internalize them, celebrate them, and you'll see that you're on the right track. I will say that one thing that remains the same is that a lot of people don't do probate right. And that means that there is a lot of opportunity for those that really want to master it.
When you're talking to these sellers, you have to be actively listening to what their pain points are.
I think that every niche in the real estate space is full of opportunities. I wouldn't say that there's necessarily one that's better than the other. It's really whatever one commits oneself to do, right? And to do it well and to master it. The best way to communicate with these folks who have inherited real estate is to really approach it from the perspective of how can I help you?
You're not just there as I'm an investor, I'm buying, I'm realtor, I'm listing. You are learning how to treat the situation as more of a white glove service.
The truth is that we should be in business to help people obtain whatever will serve them best. Find your joy in whatever you're doing. Money is good and it's important, but if you're only doing this because of the money, you might not find the success that you're looking for.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Really enjoyed being with you today.
What's up, everybody? It's another Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Al Nicoletti Show. If you missed any of Ernie Vargas's show on probate and the probate concierge and some of the other tips and tricks when it comes to getting in the probate game, you want to go back, watch that episode. You can catch it on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, all the major platforms. And of course, you can find it on YouTube. The videos are all there, and the micro content, which is going to be constantly dropping all on Instagram. You know it's out there, and I am so excited to be in the studio tonight in person. We haven't done one of these, I don't even know, it must be months we haven't done an in-person studio. So I'm excited because we got Gary Booth sitting in the studio right now, and every time we get to do an in-person show, it's a totally different vibe, totally different segment. We get to converse, he gets to be here. So I know you all are out there. Teresa, I love it. Yeah, different view today for sure. This is the wall that you guys never see on the virtual setup because you're all looking at the shelves and everything. We'll go to that cam as well, but everybody can hear me, right? I want to make sure we've done, yeah, we're good, Mike. I want to make sure because we've done episodes before and the audio gets all over the place. So everybody get your pens out, get your papers out. Everybody take notes. I don't want my charger flying off the table too. So it's going to be an epic episode. We're going to dive in. Gary and I haven't seen each other and talked about things in must be over a year. So I'm excited. I want to do this. So let's rock this thing. Hey, everybody, my name is Al Nicoletti. I'm an attorney here in Florida, and welcome to the Al Nicoletti Show, where I bring on real estate super investors, rising rock stars, movers and shakers, and leaders of clubs in their community that educate, entertain, and inspire all things on Florida real estate, and bring in the best in the game to talk about the different niches that we focus in the real estate world or real estate adjacent world. Whether we're talking about commercial, Airbnb, marketing, branding, maybe mindset or productivity or things that can help you really hone in on your craft, in your business, on how you can take your company to the next level. On my show today, I got the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that needs no introduction at all. I love Gary. I've known Gary since moving to Jacksonville. Has to be 2019. We met at one of the RIAs. We've connected ever since. We've done probates together. We've been at the meetings together. I mean, we've had lunch together. I mean, this is the kind of guy that we've bonded over the years of me being in Jacksonville. And I'm so proud to know him. So happy. He's like, yeah, man, I'm coming on the show tonight. Let's do this thing, because it really means a lot when we can bring some local legends in the studio, talk about these things, catch up, and and I've been doing my opening thoughts and opening monologues for the evenings. My opening thoughts are this. One of the big reasons I'm thinking I have this slot open on the show, I was like, I got to bring somebody local, and I got to bring somebody on the in-person show. And I know it's so important that you really reconnect and catch up with the very people you've been connecting with over the years, you've been doing business with, you've been hanging out with, because you really want to find out what's happened in their business over time. What's happened, what's changed, what's pivoted. The market since 2019, 2020, 2021, so much has changed. And it's inspiring to hear how people that are running their business pivot, make different changes. The market's crazy, right? Maybe interest rates were lower, and then they were higher, and then everybody's making pivots. So I say to everybody out there, if you haven't connected with somebody in a while, reach out to them. Say, hey, love to catch up, want to see you, want to talk about what's going on. And that's what made me feel so good about I gotta get in touch with Gary. We gotta catch up. He literally walked in the door, and we haven't really talked about much at all. And that's all strategy, because I want to talk to Gary about what's happened in his business, what's going on. And this is going to be exciting. So I think let's do this. We ready? We're ready to go. So without further ado, let's welcome him to the show, Gary Booth. Gary, man.
How do I follow up that? I mean, that's a lot of energy, a lot of passion, big introduction. I can never live that up, but hey, no, it's cool to be here. And inspired by you, I guess, with your progression, and you just kind of taking something and run with it. And yeah, it's good to reconnect for sure, man.
Dude,
been trying to do it for a while. So
for sure. I mean, it's one of those things where we had lunch together. I mean, I haven't seen you in, we're at Taco Lou. I don't even know how long ago that was. It must have been May. I want to say it was a springtime, because
before COVID. So
yeah. No. Definitely after COVID.
It was after COVID. Well, before and after.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely. So, yeah. He remembers. So, wow. What's been going on? Because I want you to know that usually when I open up the show, I have specific questions I always ask, and I wrote it down because we're gonna get to them.
Right.
But here's my question for Gary.
Okay.
What's been going on in the last year, man, since we've sat down and connected?
It's a crazy year, I think, for everybody, right? So, what I was doing a lot of renovations, a lot of fix and flips, and it's been tough because the market was so crazy, even on the buy side, right? Yeah, you could put it on the market and it would sell fast, but could I even pick it up? And then you had the supply chain issues with COVID and all costs going up, and so it's it's very hard to determine your costs more than it was, and it was hard to find the deals. Now you just want to find something. You want to be conservative because you don't know what real estate values are going to do. So for me, I've just diversified a lot. I took over my existing real estate brokerage, got my broker's license. So now I'm running that full time. So I'm doing
broker, investor,
to be able to build a business, and I share passion with leadership and building people up. And so for me, and it's what it is sales organization. That's my background anyway. Flipping was the hardest thing I ever learned how to do. I mean, just from the business standpoint, the contractors, the houses. I mean, it's just, but worthwhile to do, and I love it. I'll still flip, but there's something cool too about building a business that you can scale and brand and all that stuff. So doing that, starting a turnkey renovation property management business as well. Start to scale that from the ground up. So
you're getting into a lot more things.
So it was perfect timing with the market. Let's just say I did 30 flips in a year. At some point, maybe I'm down to 10 now. So also, a lot of it is if you live kind of below your means, or you don't go out and buy new cars and stuff and houses, and you can actually do, you don't have to do the volume. Especially, I didn't want to force houses. I didn't want to, I got to keep these guys busy, or I have to do X amount of flips. I just basically, it's a lot of work, a lot of stress, and I'm just focusing on the quality deals. So
So let's talk about the
So
brokerage.
there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
go
no.
ahead.
Let's hear this. So you got Nick Alexis watching tonight. I love it. Nick, what's up, man? Crushing deals right now.
No,
I
they
know
are.
I know he's watching right now. He's gonna comment again. So let's talk about the brokerage situation. So in the last year, the decision to you're now leading the brokerage, like you're full on broker. What's that? What made you take on that responsibility
Right.
to do that? And two, what kind of opportunities are you starting to see in the market by being the broker? Are you seeing
Right.
more novation kind of deals? So like you can kind of be the listing agent or kind of help, offload those deals. Like what's the benefit?
Well, the benefits will come when, in time. Let's just put it that way. So, the gentleman that was running it, the brokerage actually passed away from COVID. He was running it for the other gentleman, Greg Brady, who had it, had formed it initially. So, it was kind of one of the situations that the brokerage was going to dissolve. There was no person running it, or I would step in. And I had conversations originally with the owner about taking over. And I was actually working on my broker's license at the time, but it became kind of pedal to the metal at that point to where, I was like, all right, well, I'm able to take over something that's existing with agents and then kind of build my vision around that. That way I'm not starting from scratch. So I was in the brokerage and then took it over. But I think that, and I don't honestly, and I don't know if you believe me or not, but I don't do it for me, right? I don't do it for me. The opportunities will come if you help enough people. So if you have that servant leadership mindset, the opportunities will come as the broker. But if I make money when my agents make money. And we're 100% commission brokerage. We're not taking commission splits. We have just a flat transaction fee. So it is volume based. But I want them to do deals and do volume, right? So there's a leadership aspect of it, of just helping out the people underneath you that honestly, it's kind of, I enjoy it, right?
Right.
The benefits will come. And I'm working on scaling that. We're up about 20 agents since I took over, and then I'm trying to get 20 or 30 more.
That's great.
So, that's got to be systematic about it, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm learning a lot about brokerage infrastructure, about back end systems, and about about recruiting and everything like that. So building an organization, building out the processes and systems. That's the toughest part, but again, it will in a long term. And I really think that our go-to-market, our brand is going to be, we're full service brokerage, 100% commission. So you're keeping more of your money, but also we have a lot of investors like myself and others in the brokerage that they can do their own investments and save a ton of money on listing their stuff, right? Or they can work with other investors, right? If you're an investor and you're in California and you want to partner with an agent to build your portfolio, well, why wouldn't you go to work with somebody within an investor brokerage, right? Investor agents that are done it themselves,
Right.
Or even if they pick an agent that's in the brokerage that doesn't have a ton of experience,
Right.
There's 20 other people in the brokerage that have done flips and Airbnbs and buy and holds. And so, I think that could be our competitive advantage. But, right now, it's just a small little niche brokerage, but just working to build it up from the, behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Moving into a new office here
That's
at the end of next month.
You ready for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually own the building right now. It's a single family that is on this, on the main street. So I basically renovated it, and now I can buy it for the brokerage. So yeah.
So you're talking about you're more like manager then. You're more leader, manager. You're helping with recruiting. You're helping with the back end.
It's my business, right? So
right.
yeah,
but you're not hands on with deals, right? Are you in on deals itself right now? Are you working in
again, your broker is going to call you with questions and stuff. And yes, I am. I'm also mentoring a few of them, so I'm more hands-on. But we do have a mentorship program that's headed by my good friend Justin Bullock, who's
Yeah.
yeah,
I
he has a
connected
whole
with
coaching.
Justin recently.
Yeah, so he's running the mentorship program. So if you want that hands-on one-on-one training, walk you transactions, provide you a bunch of leadership and with documents and walkthroughs and all that, that's going to be Justin, right? So
Right.
there's no way that I could provide that level of service for everybody, especially at scale, right?
Yeah.
So, we want to continue to build that mentorship program up. But yeah, I'm available, and I think I need to be, right? Because if I want to grow and I want to, be involved, then people going to want their broker. They want their broker to be in their corner and available. So that's, again, when I'm recruiting, they're recruiting against national brands with millions of dollars in marketing and everything. And so, all right, why choose us, right? If you have your license, why choose us? Well, I have to say, well, I'm not going to have the bells and whistles of, Keller Williams or something, but we do have resources, and it's going to be way more approachable and way more like a family oriented. You know what I mean?
No,
So
that's the kind of feel that you want though in a business,
right.
right? More
So
that warmer.
and I don't mind if they're again when they win, I win. So if they're on the team, then I'm definitely going to take the time to make sure they're successful.
So let's talk about the fix and flips.
So yeah, so that's what but I'm still fixing flips. So I'm still doing flips. So
I love it. You diversified yourself. You're
the opportunity came up. I wasn't planning on it, but I said, why not?
Yeah.
Right.
Why not? I mean, if you have the time, if you have the ability to do it, go for it. So the fix and flips, you mentioned like you were doing like 30 in 1 year at one point, right? 30. And then
like 7 or 8 at a time, something like that. Yeah.
That's still a lot, right? Like the master at doing it. And by the way, Adam Locklear is watching. So
oh boy.
I love it.
And several joint ventured with Adam. So
I
wasn't able to do the scale that I did if I didn't have good JV partners. So
that helps. We can definitely talk about that. So what's going on in that world with like the costs and supplies and getting into that? Because I saw one guy, he was posting about how they're looking for more people that can help with like lumber costs. They put it wasn't in Florida, but they did something like either in Maryland or something. And they said they spent like $92,000 on, because they had to tear the whole thing down, $92,000 on lumber costs.
Right.
I don't know what kind of property it was.
Yep.
But they were ecstatic when somebody posted on Facebook that, hey, we offer this or ability to lower your costs. I'm thinking, well, fix and flippers are always looking for that because like the windows are always a problem with ordering. I don't know, whatever else you're doing. What's going on in that world right now?
So if you don't know, lumber during the pandemic went crazy.
Yeah.
And so I got caught with a couple houses that needed a lot of lumber with these $10,000 and $12,000 lumber bills. And there wasn't any warning signs. All of a sudden, it was just like they just started skyrocketing. Lumber's coming back down, but everything else is up 20, 30%. Right. So your materials that maybe cost you $20K on a flip now maybe cost you 26, 27, right? Just across the board. And then your roofs are still higher. Septic systems have gone up 80%.
Septic systems up
so
80%.
80%.
Why so high?
Well, that's a great question. So I can't find the answer. Materials haven't gone up that much, but there's a small amount of contractors that are septic contractors, and they all kind of seem to be around the same price. So I don't know. It's a mystery to me because I used to get an in-ground system in for about $8K on a property, and now we were just quoted $14K. Yes. Yeah.
Gosh, you got to start thinking about all those things now.
So I won't buy a property without a septic inspection now. Or I don't buy it, or I just allow $15K. I mean, I'm just going to buy it cheaper. And if I have to walk away from that deal, I will, right? The things that wouldn't kill you, but would, maybe make you less money. Those are the ones that are going to wipe away all your profit now. So you just got to watch out. I mean, I do think a recession's coming. It'd probably be a mild recession. Real estate's already been in a recession.
Wait, you don't even think we're in one now?
Well, in real estate we are, but a general recession.
Yeah.
Right. And so once there's more workers that are working for work, they're gonna the people that have been getting any price they wanted to, they're going to start. There's going to be starting to be a lot more supply in the labor, and just kind of a general recession, right? and then supply, demand falls, and hopefully some of the materials keep coming down. So, I mean, it's going to take a couple years, and we'll see if it gets even close to what it was.
Right.
But the numbers aren't the same.
So,
And you used to be okay with that during the pandemic. You could sell your house for $20K more than you thought you would because it kept appreciating while you were rehabbing it. Now we're flat. Some markets are down. We're flat. And you're 40, 50, 60 days on market.
So are you now in a position where you're starting to target different areas that maybe have a better price point with the kind of house it is and makes sense, maybe more desirable, you're going to get
Of course,
more,
yeah.
right? Or are you also looking at more properties that are less distressed,
Yeah,
right? Less
well,
distressed.
yes.
So like you're
Yep.
putting in less, and then you can focus on more of like the wow
Yep.
factor to, okay, it's not so bad. It's not so bad, but now we're going to touch it up a little bit. So you're not putting so much into that.
And the problem with those is investors are still overpaying for them because they're not maybe looking at it as a flip. Maybe they're looking at it as a buy and hold or a pad split or an Airbnb, right? So their numbers maybe aren't the same as a true flip. So it's still hard to find those in the good zip codes that don't need a lot of work. But yeah, absolutely. I don't want any big projects right now. It's just the time, effort, energy to have it sit on the market. But it was about 300K sales price and below. Usually I try to stick in that range before. Now I'm 250. I think I just put something on the market at 245 and I had a lot of interest.
And what were you all in on?
Well, it's I think it was like I'm probably all in at like 190 or something like that.
Still good.
So I mean, it's not a home run because again,
take anything.
I had
really.
to connect a new sewer line to the city, and there was a lot of unforeseens. Yeah. And I bought a sight unseen. So no, but I'm not doing that anymore.
But wait, but before you go on, sight unseen. Like what was your thinking about, like, I'm gonna do this, like I'm gonna buy it without even looking at it?
The numbers.
Strictly the numbers. Like,
yeah, that's why I'm okay. And that's why I'm okay selling it now. But I could have made more.
But you took a really big chance. Like, I know a buddy of mine who bought a property and he did sight unseen. He did as is, waived inspection, sight unseen.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, who does this?
Well, you just got to know what you're doing. I maybe made 50% of the houses I bought were sight unseen. Right. Maybe
That's
40. Yeah.
Just virtual, just
look, age of the major components, what kind of, you just kind of understand, or you get it super cheap.
Okay.
I've got a house for 30K that I had to rebuild, had rotted, all rotted with termites. Right. But I was able to get it cheap enough that it was, and then, it was okay. And again, you could cover a lot of your butt by the prices continuing to climb up. Oh, I was going to sell for 160. Now I'm going to sell for 185. That's kind of the conversations I have. And that's not a normal market. That's not anything that is sustainable in the long run.
Right. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people now that are losing money.
So they're losing money because they just don't know how to run their numbers, right? They don't know how.
Well, you bank on an appreciating market, and then you don't anticipate the increased costs. You pay too much for the house because people were buying full price offer. I'll buy some sight unseen, but it's probably 40K off of whatever the wholesaler is asking, right? They were paying full price sight unseen. I mean, it was great. And it's great for, I wish I had my acquisition at that scale when it happened, but it's like catching a wave, right? And you're either ready on your surfboard to jump on it, or you're going to get taken down. Right. So, I probably left some money on the table during the recession, or not, during the pandemic, the pandemic boom. But again, what do you do? And so my goal is to be prepared as much as possible to take advantage of market booms. Right.
Are you still only focusing in Jacksonville right now? Or are you starting to spread out? Maybe like to, even if it was St. John's or Clay or anything else, like you're only
Clay is
local?
Close enough. I mean, you want to stick the rules. You want to stick about an hour of where you're at, because you don't want to be driving 2 hours to go to property 3 times a week. It's very hard to control that.
Yeah.
Now, unless you have a partner that's boots on the ground in another market, again, that's also very tough, right? So that would be the exception, is if you had a partner that would in another market. If I wanted to flip in Tampa, I probably wouldn't do it. I probably would partner with somebody in Tampa. But then again, I wouldn't JV with anybody. So
Mhm.
maybe I just don't do it.
Last time we talked, I think we were sitting at Taco Lu. Maybe this was like a while ago, but contractors
Yeah.
and finding the right contractors that are going to work and do work on your projects and actually show up and do stuff.
That's a big one.
Right? Have you been able to refine a better process to finding them right now? Because you've been in it a lot longer. Like you've seen probably the people that are going to be lazy, people
Yep.
that are going to actually work.
Right.
Hindsight's 2020. What are you doing now to refine that process?
You can have a tight scope of work. You can have payment schedules. You can have all your systems in place, but you cannot control the human variable. And it's just always going to be the nature of the business. That's exactly why Open Door, OfferPad, these places like that couldn't make any money flipping houses. It's just the human. You need boots on the ground, and you need somebody that's project managing that. It's on top of them. If some guy doesn't show up, you find another guy. That kind of thing. It's very hard to do. And again, like we talked about with the brokerage, I can scale that, right? I can scale that brokerage. I can build processes and procedures, and people that are in the brokerage need to follow them, or they're not going to be in the brokerage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you do if you have projects and or procedures, and you tell your contractor that, and he says screw off and walks off the job, right?
What do you do?
That way, then you got to scramble, right? So there's always that, and that's a lot about interpersonal relationships and about it's a give and take with contractors. It's not the corporate world where here's the rules or be gone. It's you need them more than they need you, unfortunately. And it's only going to get worse because nobody wants to do skilled labor in this country.
Nobody wants to really work.
Nobody wants to work with their hands or skilled labor. It's only going to get worse. They're always going to have the upper hand.
Yeah.
And we need houses, extreme shortage of housing inventory locally and nationally and in the nation. So, it's only going to get worse. So
where do you think they're going to start improving on that? Like what's the site that Gary's seeing about improving housing?
It's not. Until we can 3D print a house and circumvent, I'm serious. Until we can circumvent like general labor, it's not going to get better. And now the builders are not incentivized to build houses because they're getting their butt kicked with everything. Now demand dropped off a cliff. They got houses sitting, so now we're down to 2 months of inventory. Again, buyers just aren't buying. If there was more demand, we would be back where we were. If interest rates were lower, and we'd be right. That's the only variable that changed.
Okay.
So the underlying supply and demand didn't change.
So where else are you positioning yourself and diversifying yourself in the market right now? So we got the brokerage.
So in fixing and flipping, again, it's always going to be there. There's always going to be distressed properties. There's always going to be distressed sellers. It's always going to be there. It's just I'd be careful. And a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people have lost money recently because they overpaid, put too much in it, and then what happened? It sat, accumulated holding costs, and they had to drop the price to sell it, right? I know people have taken $50,000 losses recently on projects, right? So that can happen, right? You got to be careful. But I would say that it's always going to be there. And yes, you develop your relationships, develop your processes, but buy the houses right and anticipate your stuff as much as you can. I'm still going to do it, but I'm just going to find the right deals to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not just going to do it because I'm going to do, 20, 30 houses this year. So for example, like a JWB, they do a ton of houses, but they also have a different model, right? So they have investors that are buying them. They have the property management stuff. And so that allows them to scale because there's disposition avenues for them.
Right.
If I'm just flipping and selling on the retail market, it's a lot tougher. I mean, you're talking about what if you have $3K a month holding costs on one house, and it's on the market for 90 days before we get an offer. How much is that?
I mean, it's
Right?
crazy. Yeah.
So you're paying 4 or 5K, or what is that? That's $9,000 right there. Well, I hope you have 9K in your profit, but what if your profit was only going to be like 15K? Right. So that's why it's just like you got to turn them, and you can't, because you're not going to be able to sell them for more money, and they're not going to sell the first weekend. So
Yeah.
Anyway, so going back to what you said, I will always do fix and flip. I love it. I love taking something that needs love, and I love redesigning it and giving it. And then the buyers that buy it, especially at the lower price points, I mean, maybe they're first time home buyers, maybe they they've been renting forever, and they just get so excited about it, right? And I want to move people into houses that they wouldn't even looked at before, and that the bank was going to foreclose on, or there was major issues, like a fire damaged house. It was just sitting there, right? And you repair that and move some. And again, that's a benefit, that's a value to society. So I like that. I like that part of it. So,
but you're putting a lot of cost into a fire damaged home.
Yeah, but again, it goes back to, you got to get it for the right price. So
For sure.
when there's people overbidding for a fire, if you're competing against people that are going to lose money, then there's no way that you're going to ever win those opportunities. You're not going to pay what they're paying for these houses, because if I want to make money, if like when I do stuff, I like to make money doing it, then I'm not going to be able to pay that for that house.
Right.
That's fine. There's plenty of houses out there. You got to find the right deals. So, but it may be me getting older, but so I'm moving into having scalable and sellable ventures.
Well,
So
you've realized that you have to do that because you want to value more of your time.
Yes.
And you want to keep making money, but you don't want to be wasting your time on all the other stuff that you've been doing this whole time. So,
but that's the foundation, that whole doing a ton of stuff and learning construction and learning real estate and values and costs and all that if you don't have that foundation, it's hard to succeed right.
So where's somebody learning a more advanced version of that foundation, right? Like, it's easy to watch that kind of stuff or go to meetings or JV with someone. I mean, that would
be it, right? If you're green, JV with somebody. And this has been a popular, kind of a popular phrase before, is that, wholesale, right? Go find a deal and go to an investor and say, hey, let's partner with this. You know what I'm saying? And you use them to learn. And so, maybe it's not going to be like a 50-50 split at the time, but how much is that education worth though?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but trial and error is another thing.
Yeah. You know what's really funny about JV? So like, I don't invest. I've never even done a deal, right? But I work with all the investors that are doing all these deals everywhere. So I'm at a meeting in Destin or Fort Walton at Heather Blass's meeting, and I'm in the Q&A session, right? And I was like, anybody got questions? And one guy in the middle asked a question. He goes, all right, how do we get started with these?
Yeah.
Like, if we find a deal, I've never done a probate before. Where do I even begin? And not even on the probate end, like just on a real estate deal.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, all right, I've done a ton of episodes, a ton of shows. I'm hanging around you. I know Dom and G and all everybody that's doing all these things. And I'm not even doing investing. And I'm like, if you find a deal and you have no idea what you're doing, or you have a little bit of an idea, but you don't know the resources, you don't know who to go to, or you don't have that foundation for numbers and stuff, go JV with people. Like, there's people in the meeting today that have done 10, 15, 20 deals this year alone. Like, those people are like nodding their heads like crazy. Right. And I love what you're talking about with JVing, because it's very easy to say, I want all the money. Yep. And I'll find the title company. I'll find the funding. But it's like working with people like you, working with the people that are out there, like, the resources, the people that are doing funding, where to go.
Yeah.
So I mean, split the money or find the percentage that's going to work,
Right.
and you're better off because you're gonna learn. You're splitting to learn. I see. I feel like that's a big problem right now, where like people
They don't
are
want to pay for education.
when you start, you are getting paid to learn.
Exactly.
You're not getting paid to get paid.
Exactly.
Right? You eventually get to that point, maybe when you're like 6
Exactly.
years in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Just I guess I see it as a business owner too, about like just learn from others and not just, think you're doing it all on your own.
Yep.
You got to be able to lean on the other people that are in this industry that are doing it.
And nobody's going to reinvent the wheel, right? So, you just learn from others' mistakes, and partner with the right people, but you don't have to do it on your own. And that's when people lose money, is I think they know better, right?
Yeah.
And I could do it for this, or this is the right way to do this, and they ended up. And what happens when they lose money? Then they don't do it again, do they?
They don't.
No, then they go invest in crypto and lose money
and lose more money, or I don't know. Who knows what's going on with that? That's a whole other.
So yeah, I think that real estate's not going anywhere. Right, the time to start is now. And, it's just find what you like doing, find your passion, and then find what value you bring to a transaction. So you find the deal. Do you have funding? Are you a full-time person with a self-directed 401k and you can lend money? I need every investor needs money. And a lot of investors have. I heard this fact the other day. There's in Florida, there's like $4 billion in self-directed retirement accounts that are just sitting in cash,
not doing anything.
Correct.
Not accruing interest, or
not invested, just sitting in cash. Yeah, losing money.
Are you doing lending out of your IRA? Right now?
Well, I actively do buy and holds and flips within that. But it's a great way for somebody to get started in real estate. Let's say they have like 200 or 300 grand, and a self-directed. Let's just say they thought about, so you would roll it to a self-directed, and you can lend out of that self-directed to an investor at 10 or 12% or whatever. And now you're the hard money lender on that deal, and you can be involved and say, hey, I just want to, I'll lend you the money, maybe it's just at 10%, but I also want to, be involved and learn, right? So they can have a full-time job and still start to learn the process. So, the deal, the funding, or maybe you're a contractor and you want to get into it. One of my agents is a contractor who's done some investing lately, but he was a contractor for years. And that's his retirement plan is to do more real estate. But he brings that to the table, right? The contracting aspect. So, there's always value in a deal, and it just depends on what you provide and what what you need to learn and so forth. So approach every deal like that.
Yeah, no, I like the self-directed,
because I could do everything myself other than funding. Right, I can go, but I can get with a track record. I go get hard money anywhere.
Right.
So if I can do it myself and make all the money, what are you bringing to the table for the time, effort, energy? Right. So you gotta kind of think of it like that.
Well, if you're doing the fix and flip, you're doing all that stuff. Maybe they're finding the deal. Maybe they're going direct to sellers.
That's value.
Or dealing with the sellers. Right.
Yeah, I'm JVing with the seller right now. You'll get a kick out of this.
Go for it. I want to hear this.
I was going to buy it off market.
Okay.
I was going to buy it off market. It does have a rolling fine from the city, which means it's an administrative fine, $150 a day from the last seller, from the last owner. I'm sorry. So can you guess how much that rolling fine has totaled since 2016?
I'm going to make a guess. I'm going to say $80,000.
Way low.
Lower?
You're way low.
Oh, 300,000?
345,000. Now, until that violation is cleaned up, until those taxes are paid, until that fine is paid, you can't apply for abatement. So you have to renovate the property.
Oh my gosh.
Get the city to close out the case and then apply for abatement. So tomorrow I'm filling out the paperwork with the owner, and we're going to have the title company send it out. Fines are paid. So I borrowed a little money. Partner with, he owns it outright. It's a duplex, right? 10, 12% cap rate, put a new roof on it, finish all the stuff, new flooring in one of the units, and just make it turnkey. And I'm going to list it. I'm going to probably shop it around off market, and then I'm going to list it. Because I'm a broker, I can list it, and I'll list it for free. So that's the value I bring. He's got the house.
Right.
I brought in outside funding.
Right.
And they could be in first position for it's 20, 30 grand. It's not a big renovation, right? And then I can dispo it as well. So again, don't be afraid to go outside the box, especially in this market, and just find value.
Yeah.
For me, I can make money. He can make money. And we have a partnership agreement with distribution. Everything's done through a title company and signed by, reviewed by a lawyer. So, I mean, don't be afraid to, especially if you're getting started. So
interesting. I think what you're doing right now is, I mean, it's been different from what you've been a little bit doing what you're doing before.
Well, when your wholesalers are feeding you deals, and then you're just keeping your crews going and just keep doing deals. What happened was the hedge funds came in, the out of state, the New Yorkers, the California people who sold their houses, the Texas people, the market just was not healthy. That 40% appreciation in 2 years, it's not healthy.
That's a lot.
Everybody made money. If you didn't make money in 2021, you just didn't know what you're doing. I mean, you could not know what you're doing and make money in 20. You just had to not be involved in 2021. So what happens is all your wholesalers say, Gary, I love you, but I'm going to sell this guy because he's offering me 20,000 more than you're offering. Am I going to say, no, I'll pay that? No. Hedge funds came in and they were paying retail value for off-market wholesale deals.
Yeah, way higher.
Yeah. How do you compete with that?
You can't.
So
they got to leave.
And I'm working with Bold City Home Buyers. I'm working to do some acquisition, but I don't really want a big, it's just going to be mainly for me. And then I'll wholesale some deals here and there. I said, man, I got to get my own acquisition going. Right. You know? And so I'm building that up a little bit as well.
Are you getting into Airbnbs?
No. And I think they're saturated, and I think it's going to be less valuable going forward. That's another topic of conversation. So
wait. 5-minute conversation about this, because I got to hear. I think about how many people love getting into Airbnb.
Sure, you know why?
Cash flow.
Yeah, but you know the real reason? Because the numbers don't work as a buy and hold or a flip, so they can always Airbnb it. Right? And so that's they would rather be in the game and buy something than not. Oh, then I'll turn it into a rental down the road if I want it. Now, guess what happens when you don't cash flow as much? When it's the market is
you're losing it. Yeah. And then you don't know what to do with it, or then you got to sell it.
There was a big spike because people were coming down to Florida because they were getting out of the quarantine, lockdown zones of the other New York and everything like that. They were coming to Florida. So they were willing to stay, again, in like a blue collar Airbnb, like a West Side Airbnb or something like that. So those are the ones that are going to suffer the most. So you know what happened. So you know what the trend is now, right?
No.
So, well, maybe it doesn't work for an Airbnb. Would it work for a pad split?
Oh, yeah. I've heard about that one. Yeah, I gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, I look at it as fix and flip numbers, which is the most conservative. Right. And then if I have to, those others are all going to work because I bought it as a fix and a flip. Right. But if I overpay for something, I'm going to be chasing that the whole time. So there's a lot, and again, I'm not an Airbnb, and I know that there's some nice Airbnbs in town with pools and by the beach or whatever, and those will always perform. But what about the West Side Airbnbs? What about the North Side Airbnbs?
Well, the West Side, I mean, there's hospitals, so maybe there's
right.
corporations downtown.
I'm not saying there won't, but are they going to cash flow enough?
So are you now a really big proponent of pad split? Or are you is that just another part of the diversifying in your portfolio?
So Jax Ria is going to have a panel tomorrow at Aloft. I'm curious to there's a lot of people that are going to be there, including Ray from Pad Split. I'm undecided right now. Undecided.
What would change your mind?
What would change my mind? No, I mean, I've already had Oriana from Pad Split on a conference call with my brokerage. Like I understand it's just weekly rentals and stuff. Like it's just, I want to make, in fact, how I sell investors on my property management, I want to make your property management as passive as it can be. That seems like active income to me, that active manager. Even if you have a property manager, they're calling you about towels or what, like that's active. Like if I'm doing active, I'm going to go flip. Right. So I would rather build a portfolio of long-term rentals than have Airbnbs or pad splits or anything.
Hey, I think,
and buy them right. And then maybe take money from flipping and pay some of those off. And then when interest rates lower, refinance them. That's what I don't think it's going to go away. I think the Airbnbs and the pad splits are, just making the numbers work with the new technology and new, but I'm just, I don't think I ever see myself doing an Airbnb.
What about like event spaces and stuff like that? Like on the more like commercial end, or because like Alex Rose was talking about that being like another way to make cash flow. Like it's not tenants, it's not guests. It's basically they come in for a certain allotted period of time and they leave, and then you have different parts of that event space. Anything like that, like pique in your mind?
Well, I mean, I think it's a good idea. Again, if you can buy the building and renovate the building cheap enough, there's always ancillary costs. You got to make sure that you know that. And then how do you project bookings? I mean, you just, again, just shoot for break even at that point if you start cash flowing a bunch. But again, it's not something that's super solidified. Like, hey, I can rent this out for $2,000 a month and these are my costs. Like I want to do boat and RV storage and find land and do that.
Is that like a new thing right now?
I mean, I also want to rent out some RVs too, but that's a whole nother side venture thing. But that's what I would do outside of the normal stuff. But it's land.
Right.
And then, it's this so much to develop, pour a slab or whatever. It's land. It's not, you're not relying on cyclical economies or, events. What happens if we go in a big recession? You think people are renting that event space out?
No.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so you're even going after land deals too.
Yeah. I think anything that makes sense. Yeah. But that's kind of like a side, if you talk about something that's on a side project. So I would stay away from commercial for real though.
Wow. Would you really? Even if it's over a certain, like, is there a certain number of units that you'd stay like away from? Like,
it's tough, man. I mean, the COVID economy changed a lot of that retail and office space. So unless you have a really good cost basis on that, I wouldn't speculate on commercial real estate. But that's just what the rumblings I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So,
it's always interesting hearing like your perspective on it versus also somebody that's like getting into it like on 50 units, 100 units, or even like an 8-unit, 10-unit property. And commercial. I think
depends on the tenants.
Yeah.
Like what are their tenants going to be like?
Or what the area
is. It an office? Is it like retail? Is it like, that's what I'm saying. It always depends on that.
Yeah.
What direction is the economy going as far as occupancy? I could tell you that offices are probably having a lot higher vacancy right now, right?
Probably. Yeah. Everybody wants to be remote. Nobody wants to go in office.
If you look what JWB's doing downtown, they're doing mixed use. They're doing restaurants and bars and then residential. It's resident, right? So on the bottom you have all that stuff, and then and you're building the infrastructure for people to live there in the same unit, right? That seems to me more sustainable than building a building for office space right now. But I mean, that's again, it's the right deal, and a commercial will still be a deal.
Yeah.
It's
the right price.
It's very hard to be macro about everything because different markets, different cities.
Yeah.
So, I just think that, for me, I'm just curious about the economy, about real estate, about everything. And so I read a ton about everything going on. And so I just try to stay, educated.
What's some of the resources that you tap into that help keep you on your toes with this kind of stuff?
I just think you want to, so just news articles, a lot of,
But like
the
what?
Economist would
Okay.
be one, Wall Street Journal, you can check out CNBC and other, just try to read really business oriented stuff and not anything skewed anyway, right? Because sometimes certain outlets, either in either direction, will have a twist on it, right? I just want the facts, and I'll make my own decision. So yeah, just try to read and just focus on the numbers and the trends and the figures and stuff like that, and try to make a decision that way. But that, do I need all that in what I do? No, but I'm curious and I like to learn, and I like to read. So
Are there any stat websites that you pay attention to? Like, are there any charts specifically?
I'm not that much of a nerd.
I don't know, man. It seems like
I
you're paying
check
attention
mortgage
to this
rates
stuff.
lately, so I go to Mortgage News Daily.
Okay.
And lately,
paying attention
and
to
I just kind of look at the trends.
Okay.
They're bouncing,
Yep.
right? I look at the trends, and then obviously I read the CPI reports and the Fed stuff now. So that's the most pertinent stuff to pay attention to. But just even like the banking crisis, like, oh well, how what effect would that have? And it did. I mean, the Fed kind of slowed down their rate hikes, and so just paying attention to that way, like you make your decisions. Okay, if I buy this house right now, I'm going to sell it in what, 4 months, 3 months, like you just kind of say, okay, how long is the renovation going to take? What's the market going to be like when I sell this house? What are the trends? I pull the local markets stats. I read about other real estate markets, right? Like Arizona's, I think they've dropped like 15% or something, 10 or 15% in prices, because they had a big bubble, right? We still have a ton of people moving here. We have a shortage of inventory. So the way I'm thinking it, that we're going to be flat. Statistically, I think we're up 1% or something, right? So normal appreciation in the real estate market's 4 or 5% a year. We were at 40, right? So that's
it's crazy,
right?
Yeah.
So we got a flat line. I just think there's too much demand, too little supply for us to really have a huge price correction, absent of some major crash.
Are there local indicators from people that you talk to that you can kind of tell, wait a second, this is where maybe something's heading? Like not so much like charts and listings and what's going on in the MLS, but like basically what just people are talking about ground level. Anything that you're like, I pay attention to this. What if I hear this, like, my radar's on about any potential?
It's tough to say, man, because everything's numbers driven, right? I mean, everything else is hearsay. I'll pay attention to, hey, and I'll check in with people. Hey, how you doing? Also, but they could have bought a good house in a good neighborhood, and they could have had the inventory flying, or somebody that bought a bad deal is having trouble moving it, right? It's all relative. So no, I just pay attention to local, like, the outlook here, from big people like JWB and other flippers like Kyle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just kind of, again, we're all fallible. We all aren't perfect, and we all don't make the right decisions all the time.
Yeah.
So you just kind of, but it's good perspective. And so, yeah, that just being open-minded and curious and ask questions to other people is, that's another way to kind of gauge it. But I use all of it, right?
Yeah.
So during COVID, I was really aggressive because I was looking at the statistics. The Fed was pumping money into the economy and cutting rates, right? And I said, well, people still got to, as long as the mortgage lenders don't stop lending, like the people still got to buy houses. They go walk a house with masks on, and we were having some of that where they'd have to spray, anyway, but they're still going to buy a house. And so, some investors were like way more conservative than I was. I was aggressive. I was because that point, it was starting, the hedge fund thing they were starting to heat up. The deals were starting to get a little more competitive. And so it was a fire sale by a lot of, and I bought as much as I could, but then you had other lenders that were being conservative. So I will not make decisions what I do based on what other people are doing. ever.
Yeah. I love it. We've gotten comments tonight.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Glenn's watching. I see you,
Oh.
Glenn. I'm ready for next Tuesday. I'm going to be at Whitey's Fish Camp.
All right.
Yeah. Glenn texted me. He goes,
He blew that
what's
up, didn't he? He's like 50 people there now, man.
It's crazy. I haven't
crazy.
been there in
Yeah.
like a year, and I see pictures, and I'm
Yeah.
like, whoa, this place is huge now.
I'm worried about going and even finding a seat, man. You know?
You got to sit in the back,
I
all
gotta
the way
sit-
by the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. So, yeah, Glenn goes, you better be ready. Oh, I'm ready. He texted me, he goes, what's the topic? I'm like, you know what the topic is. Probate.
I mean,
it's, it's all in. No, he's ready. Teresa, she was talking about land. Love it. Jackie Hare, she's watching tonight. The whole family, looks like the whole family is going to be watching. And then, yeah, I mean, people are watching you, Gary.
Awesome.
I love it. They're
Well,
paying attention.
You're also, they're watching you too. The enthusiasm and the
Thanks, man.
The topic conversations are great.
Well, I want to bring local legends in like you.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this. Is there anything else that you've been working on lately that you've seen or is exciting? Anything that just is taken off?
So, I'm kind of going to follow your footsteps a little bit this year, and I actually have a meeting tomorrow to kind of come up with a plan to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a little bit of it, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
really going to lean into the content creation
Mm-hmm.
and branding and yeah, exactly. Yeah. So 2 reasons. So for the home buying company, I want
Yeah.
to be relevant out there. Right. And then the brokerage. Right. So if I can build the brokerage up, the brand and everything like that, who benefits me and the agents, right, that are part of that. So, yeah, so video clips and house tours and all that. So just top of mind, right? I'm doing this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So let's just get it. Let me just come up with a plan to get it on the, out there for everybody to see. Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts and all that. So
share it everywhere. Yeah.
So it's just, again, like it's the game, man. And so you're playing it or you're not. And so, again, when you're a flipper and I'm putting my head in the ground and just like, I'm not worried about that. But if you are building a companies with a public presence, you just have to do it. Right.
Yeah. You got to be out there.
So yeah,
Especially if you're recruiting too.
Right.
It's an opportunity.
Right. So I know my weaknesses and I'm working to kind of, like grow that stuff. Right. And get better at it and grow it. And, like we're redoing my website now to be like, top notch and have like search features and all that stuff. Like that's not easy stuff to learn or do. And I was able to have the platform to do that to where I can, build all this stuff like the back end systems and how all that they talk together and stuff, because people are looking for technology now. If you're a salesperson or an agent or real estate agent, you're looking for, okay, what technology does that company or brokerage offer to help me be successful? Whether you use it or not, the perception is it's a resource.
Right.
And they want resources and technology.
They want to see you.
So how do you provide that without not charging them a ton and not breaking the bank? Right.
Yeah.
So we're working to do a lot of stuff in-house with bringing the website on to our own server and hosting the agent pages and stuff like that. So just, I mean, again, like I said, flipping is not going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like once you learn how to flip a house, sell a house, like I can do that in my sleep.
Yeah.
But, so I don't necessarily have to do the volume of that, but I can do the right deals, right? I can do 20 deals and make 15K, or I can do 10 deals and make 25.
Yeah.
What would you rather do?
Man, I would rather I want to make the most money. Whatever's going to make more money.
Same amount of money, less deals though.
Hey, less work.
There you go.
Yeah, more money. Anything, right? I think that's great for you. I really want to see you take off in that content creation world. And I think having the website and having presence and having whatever kind of content you're going to do it's going to be purposeful, right? It doesn't have to just be like throwing everything out there. Like it's got to be purposeful for what the mission is. You want to help people, and then you want to also talk about what you're doing. So that's going to be huge. You're going to do great with it. It takes a lot of time.
It does.
It takes
it
a lot of
does.
time.
But like you got to first determine that it's what you need to do, and you'll make the time for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if I'm going to build up an organization like a brokerage, I'm going to have a big home buying company. That's part of it. And I've done stuff with the home buying with Bold City Home Buyers. Now the market did change, so I cut my marketing a bunch because I wasn't doing as many deals. But I already started doing that, right? Clips and doing Facebook ads, stuff like that, and it's just continued.
Yeah,
and then the recruiting with the brokerage, right?
Yeah.
So
God, it's a lot of ad spend too.
it is, yeah. I mean, again, tracking all your expenses, it's a whole nother side of the business, right? It's very easy to do to turn on your camera and film and put it online. But how do you do it strategically, and how do you do it with good business sense?
I get it.
Right.
I understand.
So, if you're going to do it right.
You got to do it right, and you have to do it purposeful.
Right.
It's got to be
purposeful. Have a plan.
Yeah.
So
love it, man. I got to say, like, it's just really cool just catching up, having you sit down, talking this over. I mean, it doesn't always happen where we get people in the studio talking about this. So it's good.
Well,
to
you
hear
got
that.
a lot of people from like all over the country coming in on your show. Man.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Everywhere.
Yeah. This is an exception. Right?
Well, again, I a lot goes through my brain every day.
I wouldn't want to be in there. That's all I got to say. I'm sure it's like
5 million
chaos.
different directions. And bringing to me, and I know everybody that's local out there, bringing on somebody local, is super important to me.
Yeah,
like 1,000%.
Well, it's a great market. It's Florida. Like, there's a lot of really,
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's not even about the market. It's there's a community feel to it where, like, I get to sit with Gary, and talk about what's going on.
We started talking about some of this stuff 3 years ago, right?
I know, but
you were still at your last firm. We started talking, right?
Yeah,
and we started talking about like what the future would be
and how I was gonna bolt out of there after about 6 months, and it's like 3 months later.
So we're sitting here doing this because our conversation 3 years ago, right? That was percolated in your head, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's come to fruition, and that's another part of like about saying things to other people and being purposeful is like, okay, well, now they're going to hold me accountable. If I say I'm going to do this, I better, you know what I mean? You're putting it out to the world that you're doing this.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, now you got to, now you're going to, now it's going to, yeah. And so I try not to say things that I don't think are going to happen to other people.
Love it.
Because I want them to hold me accountable. Because it's really easy to just talk a big game and not do crap.
Yeah.
Especially in real estate.
Yeah. A lot of people market, but you got to put the results out there and actually hold your word to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you're a real estate agent, you can have a lot of marketing out there. Do you convert your leads? How's your listing presentation, right? How's your marketing the listing? How is your negotiation? Like, there's so many things. Like, what's the purpose of doing a transaction is to make money, right?
Get it?
You gotta feed your family. You gotta take it, right? So everything else that goes along with it, helping the sellers and that's all good. But at the end of the day, it's a transaction, right?
Yeah.
And so, agents find ways to kill their own deals and all that. It's like, within reason, get the deal done.
Right.
And why are you stopping yourself from being successful?
Yeah.
And so you can do all the marketing in the world, but follow through with it. And and that's why that's
a whole other thing too that people don't do.
Yeah, they leave the business. I can't make money. I can't. No, I mean, how many deals you close? Well, I had 4 fall out of contracts.
Yeah.
Okay, you're obviously not doing something right, because there's thousands of successful real estate agents, and so I mean, where I and Justin can, I mean, absolutely help people walk through, because I mean, again, my background sales, so. There's a process to it, and there's a reason that you do follow-ups at certain times. And, it's very, it's a science. Sales is a science. And so don't just spin your wheels, do the deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, close the deal.
Right. Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Spread your wings and do it. Love it. Gary,
Are we out of time?
No. Well, we're good.
Okay.
I mean, you're in person. I'm going to let it go for a little bit. So there are certain questions.
Yep.
I ask. I feel like this is going to be like a lightning round. It's not a lightning round.
Okay.
But I always ask certain questions on my show. I want to make sure I ask them to you because I want to make sure the content gets out there. Could be good micro, could be a good video. So I asked this. There's 4. Okay. What would you say? And I know this is going to sound like, whoa, it's a big question. Like there's probably so many things you can answer. Just narrow it down to the most concise thing you can think of, that one thing. Biggest lesson you learned getting into real estate. See why I gave you the disclaimer? Is that a lawyer move or what?
Always a disclaimer, isn't there? Tenacity. A real estate deal will try to kill itself several times throughout the whole deal. What are you going to do to get that done? Again, I so many things that I've, in fact, I don't know. Is lightning round, or do I have time for?
No. It's not a lightning round. Just I want to make sure I get these out.
I actually brought Glenn Friedman into my last retail transaction with one of my flips.
Nice.
They needed to sell their house off market to buy my house. Offer pad, came in with a great offer, and then came back and lowballed them. So I brought Glenn in to buy their house. He's going to pad split it. He thinks it's going to be a pretty good deal for him. And I got my deal closed. And it was something that it was kind of like I bought in May and put too much into it. And it was just like, it wasn't a great deal. And so, but that's it, right? Like, you have to do whatever it takes to get it done.
Right. Absolutely.
Tenacity, right? Real estate is not easy. It's very rewarding, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
And I think the HGTV shows and the $1 million listing and that all makes everybody think it's like really easy and you just sit in suits all day and take conversations with buyers. No, there's 10,000 real estate agents in Northeast Florida.
Yeah.
What are you doing to outperform them? What are you doing to set yourself apart from them?
Yeah.
When you go on a listing presentation, how do you set yourself apart from the 4 other that just came in before you?
Right.
So they say, okay, list my $700,000 house. How do you set yourself apart? And it honestly, it's a little plug here, but it's not has anything to do with the brokerage you're with. It has to do with you. A lot of people jump from brokerage to brokerage. Grass is greener. Again, bells and whistles technology has to do with you.
All starts with you. Yeah.
It starts with you.
Yeah.
And are you willing to do what it takes?
Love it. I love it. That's the kind of answers we're looking for, right? It's the Gary Booth answer, right?
Oh boy. Okay.
Another thing that is, everybody can tell like how different the kind of podcast it is when you're in person. I mean, this is such a different vibe, There's a different feel. I'm not like,
that's why talk shows are in person.
Yeah, well, I get it. I mean, it's a different feel. So one question I ask, because for me, I mean, I noticed it a year ago when I was, getting busier. I'm in my business and I'm like, oh my gosh, like if I'm going to be getting all these leads every day, I'm going to be getting all this work every day. My energy levels got to be, tip top shape. Yeah. So what are you doing every day, or what do you maybe go through in your mind that keeps that mental acuity sharp and keeps you performing at a high level all the time?
The one thing, huh?
It can be multiple. It doesn't have to be one. It's not lightning round.
So can I do a two-part answer?
Yeah, go.
Okay.
I want to hear.
There's things that I'm doing and things that I want to do more of.
Okay, go for it.
So I really think that it starts with the whole picture of you and your mental, your physical, and emotional health. So is your mind right? Right. And so I would like to start meditating more to continue to, because again, we get bombarded every single day with tons of stuff. And then if you really want to get mental clarity and keep pushing and kind of like basically tune out a lot of the noise, you got to get a solid mental health, right? Mental clarity. So yeah, I've meditate somewhat, but again, to create the habit of meditating more and almost just tuning everything out is huge, right? So I think for me right now, what I'm doing, I'm just a planner. I think, for me is really in the morning or at night, just like really think about what I want to accomplish that week and what I need to do and things like that. And that's like, that comes from my sales background, always planning, always, being strategic and all that. But that I think we can get caught up in that as well, where we're just kind of like living through our calendar, right?
Yeah,
And so
right.
that they kind of, and that's why a lot of like big companies and CEOs go on retreats and just get out of the day to day, and they just
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think I want to start doing more of that, to where I'm really aligned with what I want, my vision. But I think that, back to your question, is that that's kind of what I do, but I want to do more of that, and just getting 100%, in tune, healthy, right? With every and being healthy. And the older you get too, you got to take care of yourself, or you just start falling. You can, because if you really want to accomplish what you want to accomplish, if you have high goals, it takes a lot of energy, right?
It does.
It takes a lot of energy.
I get it, man.
So if you're feeling like crap, how are you going to have a lot of energy? Right?
Yeah, I agree.
So when you do
1000%
things
agree.
that aid you to have more energy, right?
Yeah.
Eating better and exercising. And I mean, the guy lost, so much weight here. I swear, I told him before we went on, I'm like, I got to get back in the gym, man. And it's not even for when I was younger. I wanted to lift a bunch of weight and look like, you know what I mean? Go to the beach. You know what I'm saying?
That
Like,
was
be
the
able to take
mindset,
the shirt
right?
off.
I want to look
Yeah.
good. I want
Right.
to
But now it's like, I want to be
for
healthy.
you.
Right. But also you're releasing like endorphins and like it's feel good chemicals in your body. Right. So, it becomes more about staying healthy and not having a heart attack when you get older. But that is, it's a big part of being successful. And because the more successful you get, the more demanding it's going to be. The more bullseye you have on your back, and you got to be at the top of your game.
Yeah.
So
I 1000% understand, because if you're not performing at that high energy, high level state every single day, and you fall behind in that you fall behind one step, two steps, now you're having to make up that, and then you're exerting more energy to do that. And then by the time Saturday, Sunday hits, you're burnt out. Right. And so one thing I love that you said is finding that time to go somewhere else, like a retreat, like go away and unplug and disconnect. We don't talk about that enough. There was one episode, I don't remember who it was. We talked about that a little bit. About unplugging. But that's
so Sunday I try to unplug. That's my day. And I spend time with my family, and I really try to like take care of myself and relax, and I really, it's kind of weird. It's like I don't engage my brain on Sunday. And I need that, right? Because if I'd get burnt out, and I think people do. They feel like they got to be on all the time. No, we're human beings. We have batteries. You have to recharge your batteries. Right?
Yeah.
You can sleep. Yeah. You that helps, but you also need time away. And so I think that's huge. Again, we're talking about a high level of success, right? We're talking about high performers. They are going, your brain's going a million miles an hour every day, right? You need to shut it down and take time for yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it.
Go hiking or something, right? Like just do something cool that's gonna just get you out of your day to day. I guarantee you'll come back and you'll have 20,000 more ideas about what to do and what not to do. I stopped doing this. I need to do this. So you can take yourself out of your day to day.
With over 200 emails, I went away for 3 days at a convention.
Yeah,
come back to over 250 emails.
Wow.
I was like, all right, that's a lot to go through right now. Am I more stressed now than I was before?
Yeah.
I don't know. So,
but hey, create a process before you have somebody that's going to help you out for that time. And maybe they collate all those emails and say, here you go. This is what you missed, and you can go through. You don't feel the pressure of like jumping back into that. You know what I'm saying? Like have somebody help you out when you're gone.
Yeah. I know. I get it. All right. So this is another one that it could be one word. It could be, a whole sentence. It could be 2 minutes. Hot trends, hot topics.
Like the store?
No, not the store. No.
You guys remember a Hot Topic?
Yeah, when that was still around. What is something right now that you're seeing and maybe it's people chatting about it. Maybe it's pad split.
Yeah.
Maybe you already answered it.
I would say AI. Yeah. So if anybody hasn't checked out the last 60 Minutes on Sunday, they have a whole AI.
It was eye-opening.
It's going to revolutionize. I mean, look at what Chat GPT is
Yeah.
doing, right?
Yeah.
It's only going to get more and more complex. So they don't understand the things that sometimes the results that they don't know why in AI, and there's self-learning that all of a sudden they learn something they weren't programmed to do.
Mm-hmm.
They are, and it's going to revolutionize a lot of our business and change some jobs and eliminate some jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So we in real estate, I mean, I've used it to do website creation and ads and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm,
to where, I think a lot of people are in the real estate industry are using that already. So it's just in the next 10 years is going to be quite a bit of change with AI.
Yeah. See it already. A lot of people leveraging it for their business.
Have you check out that 60 Minutes?
Now
because they talk to so Google's AI is called Deep Mind, I think. And anyway, they have a Bard is their AI, and they're like, there was an article where an engineer said Bard was sentient, and anyway got fired. So read about that too.
Okay.
So BARD is Bard.
BARD.
That's Google's AI.
Okay. I'm gonna look up the 60 Minutes, because 60 Minutes, when they have a really good story,
yes,
it ends up being like,
yes,
I'm locked in.
And they're talking to these guys, and they're like, we haven't scratched the surface. We don't know. Like, yeah. And again, if for better or for worse, what's going to happen? Chat GPT comes out, and it just everybody's using it. All these other companies are like, all right, let's go. Like they're trying to get to market. These companies are going to push each other to accelerate development of it. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. You can't replace the sales aspect. I don't think you're going to be able to replace like that human connection's not going to go anywhere.
Well, I would say the stuff that can be automated will be automated.
Right. And the other extraneous stuff it's still going to be human related.
Correct. Yeah. So again, we talked about construction, right?
Yeah.
I guarantee you're going to have in 20 years, you're going to have an AI managing a project, a construction of a home. Here's the program, and they're going to manage all the machines that are building that house. And you probably have your electricians and plumbers and stuff come in, but like the structure that's all going to be built by computers.
It's going to be really cool.
Yeah. So it's really interesting, man. So
Gary, I think this is great, man.
Yeah. Well,
I love it.
I hope you enjoyed it.
It's great seeing
lots to talk about. So.
Your direction.
Yeah.
What's going on? Where you think things are going? I think it's exciting for you. I'm really excited for you to do the content and get into that game, because
they pick at your brain a little bit.
Hey man, when it comes to content creation, it's coming up with that content, constantly producing it, get it down, right? Get it down, and then just making it on a roll, and then just pumping it out there. So
I think having somebody in the back end that's uploading stuff,
right,
and then just trying to work it in to my day to day and creating those habits to do that. I'm doing it anyway. Let me get it on. And then I'm gonna have a dedicated studio in my new office for myself and agents. So just kind of build that out like you have here.
Yeah,
we already have one now, but it's I'm gonna just upgrade it a little bit. So but just making again purposeful. That's one of the things you said tonight. It's purposeful, right?
Yeah.
If you do something, do it with purpose.
Do it with purpose.
Right.
Yeah, love it.
All
Gary, I
right.
love it. You've had people watching. Coach Gio's watching. What's going on, man? He said, "Great show tonight." It's all Gary. That's what we got him in. Teresa said, "This show is my vitamin B on Wednesdays. Always makes my mind work in a positive, energized way." I love that.
Yeah, go get it.
Yeah, I love it. And Coach Gio, real estate overall is a people person business, legacy into making homies. I love it. It's so nice. That's why I say bringing on people local, because the local crowd's watching.
Yeah.
I think that's just, I don't know. There's a whole thing in my brain right now about like community. It's I don't know.
Well,
how,
hopefully this is the genesis of more stuff to come. You
yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's just something more about the Jax community that just it means a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. Obviously, it's great going everywhere and flying all these places and bringing on people too. But I love having locals like you, man. So
Yeah.
I loved having you, man.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know,
It's fun.
I know. Thank you. On the Al Nicoletti Show, anytime we have a guest in person, everybody knows that we have a T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
So before we had the Al Nicoletti, it was the law firm logo
Yeah.
T-shirts, right?
Yep.
So we did a whole rebrand for season 4. And
This is season 4.
This is season 4. Isn't that
Okay.
crazy?
Well, I'm like,
I mean, it's like,
it's
what
crazy. I know.
When was season 1? We've got mugs. So that mug,
Yeah, this is great.
that's for you.
Oh, this is for me?
That's for you.
You know I love coffee, right?
Yeah,
So
hey
this has gotta
man,
be-
that's for you. And then we got you the T-shirt, the official Al Nicoletti Show T-shirt.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, that's the back. Show the front. We'll do the front camera too, Mike. That's this. So this is for you, man.
Awesome.
Hey, there you go. I love it. I wanted to make sure you got one of those because it's a rare merch.
I love
right
it,
now.
man. I love it.
We only made like 10 of them.
Really?
Yeah, so it's really worth
What
it.
about if they're not here, they don't get a shirt?
Right, or some super fans have been getting some merch.
Oh,
lately.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're getting some more stuff, more things ordered.
Yeah.
'cause, you
Well,
know,
I'm gonna rock it, man. I'm gonna plug the show, man. So
I appreciate that.
yeah, absolutely.
No, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for sitting down with me and, you know, getting lunch when we have.
Yeah.
We're going to do it again.
we
and-
will get
you
lunch
know?
eventually. Maybe season 6, but we'll get lunch.
Season 6.
We'll get lunch
We'll do the
eventually.
lunch here. We'll bring like Taco Lou in here or something.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, you know,
Yeah.
I really appreciate people like you. It means a lot that I get to know you. I get to connect with you, that, you know, you've been here since I've been here in Jax. So, you know, I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
As I do with all my guests on the Al Nicoletti Show, I always have a final segment on my show called Final Words, Final Thoughts. And really, it can be anything that you're thinking of on the top of your mind. Maybe something you're going through, maybe it's a market prediction. Maybe it's re-enhancing that people got to pay attention to AI or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I always say, I leave it to you with the floor. Final words, final thoughts, Gary Booth.
I would say that my final thoughts are that look at what Al's doing right now. Look at where Al came from, right? And I mean, you know, with his physical health, with the podcast, with being his own, growing and building his business, is you got to start with a vision and goals, and you got to make it happen. And even if it takes one little tiny step at a time, you know, everybody wants the results before the effort, but just grind every day for your dreams. Even if you're full-time working for somebody, company, and you dream of being an entrepreneur, start doing a little bit at night, right? Just start doing, and then eventually maybe you make enough money, you quit that job and grow that business. So, you know, I think, you know, look at just being here and seeing this and watching your show on, you know, I think anything is possible, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's inspiring for people out there because, like you said, a lot of people think that, you know, results happen overnight. And a lot of this takes a lot of effort, time, struggles, crazy things happening in the studio, you know, videos. I mean, anything happens. So I love that I got to see you tonight. I love that we got
Thanks
to do
for
this
having me on, man. I appreciate it.
in person. Like, it feels
It's
so
cool.
good. So Gary,
All right, man.
hey man, keep in touch. Let me know what's going on, and we'll do this again soon. You know, we'll
Love
do
it.
this again. I think it's great. Keep us updated. So
We'll do, man.
all right, man.
All right,
everybody. So another episode on the Al Nicoletti Show. I love the interaction on the show tonight. That is everything for us out there, where we get to see everybody participate, comment. The local crowd, Glenn, Gio, Teresa, as always, Jackie, Adam, Nick Alexis popping on. You know, it's always great to see the crowd in the community that show up, that come out, and we always all want to support each other. And I'm just so happy you came out to support Gary, and having people on like Gary means a lot to me. It's really great to see people like him and what he's done in this market and pivoted. Don't worry, Gio. You're on the list, man. I thought about you. We just got to get some more merchant. You're on the list. You, Frank Spalding. Oh, look at that. Maria's on. What's up, Maria? Look at this right at the end. This is great. So everybody's hopping in. Oh, this is great. I love when everybody all of a sudden comments right at the end. It's like the feed just like plummets all the way down. So if you missed any of this episode with Gary, you got to go back, check it out. Watching what Gary's done in the last year and diversifying his processes, his systems, getting in the brokerage, getting into fix and flips, and just paying attention to where the market is in general is something that a lot of people don't pay attention to, and that's inspiring to see, what he looks at to really make a good assessment at deals and where the market's shifting and where it's pivoting. So if you missed any of it, catch it. You can find all the content with all the guests from season 1, season 2, season 3, and season 4. Yeah, season 4 on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and of course you can catch the video version of this on YouTube and all the micro content that's constantly dropping on Instagram at Attorney Nicoletti with all the probate partitions and crazy stuff that I get into on the daily basis. It's crazy. So I love you all out there. Thank you for watching. Frank Spalding right at the end. I love it. Look at that duo right there. Thank you guys for all watching. I'll see you next Wednesday live, 9 p.m. Eastern. I have a great guy, Will Denise. It's going to be an awesome episode talking about some crazy things in the wholesaling world, but really some wild deals and stuff that he gets into in his world. So you don't want to miss it. I'll see you all next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Have a great night. Take care.